All right, all right. What is up? Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. Um, I'm not using a microphone, so hopefully my voice gets through fine enough. And I'm not too sure if this is, I have my video enabled on my laptop, but I can't tell if the screen recorder is actually recording my screen or not, or at least my video. But I guess that's not too important. So if you can't see it, then it is what it is. But I did want to do a quick video, especially since we didn't get a chance to do the roundtable. I think it was last week. So I do want to leave you guys with something of value. And this kind of came to mind recently. I was talking to a few clients, and this concept kind of came up, and I thought it'd be helpful to you guys in the roundtable as well. But one of the things, kind of just jumping into it, one of the things I see people do all the time, especially when it comes to organizing their day and trying to accomplish their goals, is they don't understand exactly the best way to structure their day. So, for example, they might have, let's just say 2 or 3 primary goals. But for each primary goal they might have several micro goals. And the issue is trying to figure out which tasks you need to do to achieve those micro goals, which will ultimately help you achieve the bigger goals. And typically what I find is that people tend to kind of do sometimes the easy things, and sometimes they just do outright terrible things or the wrong things or just whatever comes to mind. And so even if they've gotten to the point where they have a goal, they're trying to structure their day, let's say they even have a planner and they're ready to plan their day out, they sit there and hour by hour, they mark out exactly what they want to do. They still struggle to reach their goals because they don't structure their day correctly, which ultimately leads to them not doing anything productive. So there's sort of a concept I want to kind of share with you in just a minute. And I think once you kind of see this concept and once you see the visualization of this concept, a lot more will make sense. And I think it'll be of value to you. Because ultimately the quality of how you organize your day will determine how much you accomplish. So real quick, just a primary belief of mine. And I know this, I was guilty of this myself when I first started to learn about how to structure my day and organize my day. It was a bit difficult trying to figure out exactly, I shouldn't say difficult to figure this out. One thing I struggled with was you kind of get into a habit of trying to do too much in one day. And over time, things like that will kind of lead to burnout. And you'll eventually learn that you have 24 hours in the day. There's only so much you can do, and you shouldn't stress yourself out about getting too much done in a single day, or you shouldn't stress yourself out about getting a lot done. I'm going to share this concept I'm going to share with you. I actually got from Craig Ballantyne. For those of you that are watching that aren't familiar with Craig Ballantyne, he created the book, The Perfect Life Formula. He's sort of a productivity coach. He used to be a fitness trainer, but he's a productivity coach now. He's helped a lot of different millionaires and multimillionaires and six-figure earners, whatever, CEOs. He helps them kind of structure their day and their productivity. So this concept I'm kind of borrowing from him, but it's such a good concept, I wanted to share it with you. And one of the things when I did coaching with him, one of the things he would suggest is by the time 8 p.m. hits, cut off your day. That's it. You're done. Like 8 p.m., you need to wind down and you need to move on to whatever activities will sort of get you into that mindset of rest. So he was a huge advocate of just working from, say, 9 a.m. or whatever time you want to start working until 8 p.m. 8 p.m. you stop. No matter what, you don't work anymore. And I like that. Personally, it's not for me. I think it's super effective. I tried it. It worked very well. I just personally like to work as much as possible. It gives me like a good dopamine hit, and everyone's a bit different. But one thing I will share with you that he used to share with me and other people that he coached is this idea. So by just getting 1% done, you've already achieved the day. You've already been successful in that day. Because that 1% improvement will have a compound effect over time. So whatever it is you're trying to do, whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, if you just get one thing done per day that'll ultimately lead you to that goal, you will accomplish the goal in time. Hopefully that makes sense. And this concept will help you figure out what that one thing per day is that you should be doing. So now I'm going to draw a chart out real quick. And hopefully this chart should make everything more clear. Bear with me as I draw this out. But there's going to be sort of two words that I want you to keep in mind. First thing is urgent. Second thing is important. Move this. No. All right. And I'll also put not urgent. And not important. Oh. Keep this chart in mind, because this chart's going to be super important when it comes to helping you figure out how to structure your day and what you should kind of tackle every day as you organize your day. Now, I'm going to say this. Most people confuse what's urgent and what's important versus what's not urgent and what's not important. So we're going to walk through this together, and I'm going to give you an example to show just the mistake that people tend to make and how you can fix them by using this chart. Can I move this out of the way? No? Okay, good enough. All right. So we're going to take, let's say his name is Johnny. This is Johnny. Johnny has a goal of gaining 5 pounds in the next 3 months. Okay. Oh, this is Johnny's primary goal. Health goal, 5 pounds in 3 months. Now, Johnny looked up on Google several different things he can do to accomplish that goal. And he made a list of the different things he can do. So one of them, buy fitness clothing. Another thing, maybe create a Spotify playlist. What else? Johnny might buy supplements. He might look up a good workout routine. He might find different motivational videos on YouTube. Just say motivational fitness videos. He might, see through Google that he should work out at least 4 to 6 times per week. And maybe he decided that he wanted to look up, some YouTubers, some fitness YouTubers for inspiration and some motivation. All right. So he's got a few things. He's on a good path. He's got several things that he wants to do to help him achieve his goal of gaining 5 pounds in the next 3 months. Now, the issue with these tasks that he has, and this is where most people go wrong. People will have tasks like this, and they don't exactly do them in an order that's going to lead them to accomplishing the main goal. Remember, the main goal for Johnny here is to gain 5 pounds in the next 3 months. So the primary thing he should be doing every single day up until that deadline of 3 months is whatever it is that will move. It should move him closer to that goal. It should move the needle a little bit. Does that make sense at all? So what people tend to do, this is where people usually go wrong. They start off and they buy fitness clothing. Okay, cool. Does fitness clothing lead to you, or I should say Johnny, gaining weight in the next 3 months? Does the clothes that Johnny wears, that's a weird sentence, does the clothes that Johnny wears, does the clothing that Johnny puts on, I can't speak English, does that lead to him gaining muscle? Does the music he listens to, does that lead to him gaining muscle? The supplements he consumes, or let's say diet plan even, does that directly lead to him gaining muscle? What about having the perfect workout routine? Will that lead to him gaining muscle? What most people tend to do, and this is kind of the mistake I think people tend to make, is they'll have a set of tasks and they just start attacking their goal by just doing random things that might be similar or might partially lead to them accomplishing the goal, but it doesn't directly lead to them accomplishing the goal. And this is sort of where this chart right here comes in. Because the thing you need to understand is that whenever you're doing something daily, you need to separate the tasks in your life that are urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. And there's almost like an order of operations. If you've ever taken math or algebra or whatever, they have like PEMDAS, like please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And for PEMDAS, it's basically just a way for you to figure out what is the order of tasks that you should perform when doing a math equation if multiple things come up. So for example, if you're not familiar with this, if like parentheses come up, you should do parentheses first, then maybe multiplication afterwards, and then you can save the subtraction and addition for the end. And that's the way you get the correct output, or the correct, I can't think of the specific word for an equation, but you know what I mean. That's how you get the correct number at the very end to solve the equation. So the same applies with your time, and the same applies with how you structure your day. So what you should be doing is always prioritizing this box. What are the things that are both urgent and important? Now, in this situation, Johnny's doing all these different things. He's buying clothing, getting a playlist, whatever. These are all good. These are all fine. These could, in part, lead to him achieving his goal. But most of these things are actually, I won't say they're not important, but they're about here. They're kind of a fine line in between important and not urgent, and not important and not urgent. Does that make sense at all? The only thing on this list that really is urgent and important is this: working out. Because working out is the only thing that'll truly lead to Johnny accomplishing this goal. And sure, people can make the argument that, if his workout routine's not good enough, he's not going to gain muscle, which, it's a fair point. Some people might say, well, if his diet plan isn't good enough, he might not gain muscle, he might gain fat, which is also a fair point. But if he doesn't work out, he will not gain muscle. So that's the most important and the most urgent thing. Does that make sense at all? So I want you to sort of keep this chart in mind whenever you're trying to make a decision about, how you should structure your day and how you should go about organizing your tasks in your planner, or just in general, if you have different micro goals you want to do. This is what you should kind of consider, this box right here, when thinking about that, when trying to structure your day. Now, when it comes to the order of operations here, I would say, of course, this is the last thing you want to do. If it's not important and if it's not urgent, don't worry about it. Real quick, just kind of give you an idea of what's urgent versus what's important. The way I like to think about urgency, if there's an upcoming deadline, then that's urgent. So here's an example. Let's say you need to buy Christmas gifts. You have a girlfriend. Every year in the past, when you haven't bought Christmas gifts, she gets pissed. She hates it when you don't buy Christmas gifts. However, and we all know that most people wait to the very last minute to buy Christmas gifts. However, it's February right now. So while buying Christmas gifts might be important, it's not urgent. Does that make sense? So something like that might go in this box. It's one of those things that you can do eventually. You can do it kind of at your own pace right now, but you might not have to do it right away. On the other hand, let's say you have to file for taxes, or else there'll be a big penalty. And let's say you've been putting it off, you've been procrastinating, so you have about 1 week. Now, that's urgent and it's important. So if you had to choose between buying Christmas gifts in February or doing your taxes, then taxes should obviously come first because it's important and urgent. Now, when it comes to things that are not important, Not important means that if you don't do them, it doesn't really matter. So let me give an example of something that's urgent but not important. A buddy of yours wants to go out to the bar. He wants to leave at 8:30. The bar doesn't close till 4 a.m. While he's, and let's say it's 7 p.m., 6:30, 7 p.m., whatever. While there is some urgency, while there's a deadline that's approaching quickly, you going out at this specific time does not really matter. You going out to the bar in general does not matter. And let's say you're still Johnny and you still have this goal of gaining 5 pounds in 3 months. Your buddy wants you to go to the bar. It's not important if you go out. And while it's still urgent, it's not something that should rank super high in your daily schedule. Does that make sense at all? So these boxes down here are the things you want to sort of prioritize the least. These don't matter as much as these two things up here. These two things up here matter the most. So I would say if you had to rank, like if you had to kind of rank between these 4 boxes, which order you should do these in, I would say, of course, the least important thing are the things that are not urgent and not important. They should almost never be done. Unless, maybe something that's not important and not urgent. It could be like a fun activity. Maybe if you want to play video games for downtime. That's cool. You can do that. But don't do that before the important and urgent stuff. Hopefully this all makes sense. Then, of course, things that are urgent but not important, things that are urgent but not important should come third. Like I mentioned, kind of like that party or going out to the bar. There's a deadline approaching, but if you don't do it, it doesn't really affect much. So don't stress out about it. It can be skipped. It shouldn't matter. Do that. Put that in third place as far as the order of operations, as far as your priority. The second thing should be something that's important yet not urgent. There is a deadline, but the deadline's out in the distant future. However, getting it done is vital. You do need to get it done at some point. You just don't need to get it done right now. That should be priority number 2. And then the thing that you should be doing immediately are the things that are both urgent and important. And I think understanding these 4 quadrants and kind of keeping them in mind whenever you're trying to make a decision about how to structure your day is super vital to actually getting your goals accomplished and getting things done. So hopefully this all makes sense, and hopefully this example sort of helps you in understanding like how someone like Johnny could stray off into La La Land and never actually get anything done. And how just kind of understanding this chart or this little box, these 4 quadrants, could make a massive difference. So hopefully that all makes sense. And I just want to check I have some notes. I just want to make sure I covered everything. Yeah. And like I was saying, if nothing else, you want to make sure that you're doing at least one thing to sort of move the needle forward. Now, these examples right here are a little bit, basic. And for working out, it's not super complicated because as far as working out, the main thing that people just tend to not do is just show up. Obviously at some point, if you're like super advanced or like intermediate level, there's different things like the way you work out, and we don't have to get into that because it's not super important. But in general, for a goal like this, like gaining 5 pounds, it's more of a matter of just showing up and actually working out. And then the micro details is the workout effective? Are you getting enough volume? Stuff like that. But for the sake of this argument, for the sake of you understanding this chart, just make sure you understand that some things are going to be more important and urgent when compared to others. And really what you need to consider when it comes to, like I said, when it comes to urgency is there an upcoming deadline? That'll help you determine what's urgent. And as far as importance, can it be skipped? That'll kind of be the test to help you determine what's urgent and what's important. If a deadline's approaching, then it's urgent. If it can be skipped, it's not important. And if it can't be skipped, it is important. Hopefully this all makes sense. And like I said, if you ever have any questions about any of this stuff, feel free to reach out, shoot me a DM, whatever, and I'll be glad to help you. But this kind of idea right here, I really want you to kind of drill down because it's super important and it's super vital to you accomplishing goals. I tend to find that a lot of people, especially I remember in college, this was a huge thing. When people didn't accomplish goals, or if people did bad in tests or quizzes or projects, whatever, they had trouble organizing what was urgent and important versus what was unimportant and not urgent. And it's easy to do the stuff that's not important and not urgent because it tends to be the stuff that's fun or that doesn't require much mental effort or doesn't require much energy out of you. But the things that are important and are urgent tend to be a little bit more stressful. They tend to require a lot more mental effort. Not always, but a lot of times they tend to. So yeah, keep this in mind. I don't want to go too long if, I think I kind of got everything out that I wanted to say. And like I said, hopefully this chart isn't too confusing. Hopefully this all makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. Shoot me a message and I'll be glad to help you understand this. But yep, until next time, peace out.